Okay, so you go with the Sea Dogs jersey, big win last night. Did you
Yeah.
expect this as a Sea Dogs fan?
Do you know what? I did actually. With how they loaded up at the deadline. I seen a lot of people that I talked to didn't really have them picked to get very far, but being the host team and whatnot, I did. I kind of expected this. I did kind of think Hamilton was going to be that team, obviously with Mason McTavish, but no, I kind of seen this coming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because when the whole Gardner McDougall situation, when they let go of Gordy Dwyer and they pick up McDougall, I'm thinking, okay, what is going on in the front office? But at
Yeah,
the
no,
same, but it's usually
that was very weird actually, because I think it was Sherbrooke that upset them actually,
it was
and then
Ramuski.
and then they fire their coach, and then I'm like, okay, that's very unusual. But I didn't know much about Gardner. I didn't know much about him at the time, but I know a lot about him now. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's an icon in university hockey with UMB. I mean, he's won countless titles. His son Taylor is actually an advisor with Roy Sports Group. So shout out to Taylor if you are watching this video. Wrote him yesterday making fun of his double chin on a picture. We had him hit his dad. So I'm a sarcastic guy, so I had to throw him some shade. But he represents some of the best players in Eastern Canada. Should be interesting draft now in the NHL. He has multiple clients. And as well, he also has multiple clients in the Q draft. So we're going to parlay this right into talking about the Quebec League draft coming up July 4th and 5th, live on YouTube. First round is live on YouTube, and then the rest of the draft is on the 5th, rounds 2 through 14. And let's kind of talk a little bit about that draft. Who you're liking in Nova Scotia. I know you work for Next Level Athletics. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes, but let's talk a little Q draft here. We'll talk MHL Draft too, and we'll talk about your role with South Shore as well. So
Yeah.
let's talk Q Draft. Let's talk about some of the guys that you really like in Nova Scotia.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, Quinn Kennedy is one of the obvious choices. Got to see quite a bit of him this year. A player that comes with basically the whole package. I mean, he's an elite skater. He's got elite puck handling skills. Reads the game offensively very well, plays good on the defensive side of the puck. So yeah, Quinn's definitely a guy that I really like. Obviously, I'm going to butcher his name. Reese.
I
know the last name.
Listen, buddy, you're not the only one that's ever butchered that last name. I'm going to say
yeah.
Peisch, and that's how we say it is Peisch.
Peisch, okay, yeah. So, I really like him a lot. He's a good size. No, he's a guy I really like. And then a guy that I would say is my favorite player, who is kind of under the radar a bit, is actually Riley Sampson from Cape Breton West. He's a guy, I didn't see a whole lot of people talking about him. I think he plays both sides of the ice very well. There's nothing that really he does better than the other, if that makes sense to you. He kind of just does everything right. And I think if I'm looking at the Q rankings here, he's slotted at 140 on the CSR final ranking. I think he'll go higher, to be honest with you, a little bit higher. And then as far as the MHL draft goes, I'm still relatively new to how that works, but I think that he'll probably be a higher pick in that draft for sure. But yeah, he's a player that I really like. Yeah, Riley Sampson's probably my favorite player out of the bunch.
Yeah, and I can see why people would like Sampson. I mean, Cape Breton West had a pretty good run there in the Nova Scotia League towards the end. I mean, I thought, they achieved, getting to the finals there, they did well for what they had there for sure. Sampson's a big boy. He's a big left-handed shot.
Yeah.
His skating is a little bit awkward. Like, it's not the most beautiful skating stride that will grace the face of the planet, but he does get from A to B fairly well. And, he's a bigger boy. He's pretty good in the circle. He can play center and wing. He's not a bad player. I think that he's going to probably be a mid-round pick whether or not, I mean, I think he's going to be more towards, say, round 5, 6, 7 than 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And yes, in the Maritime League, I think he's going to be on some boards a little bit higher, because once you get past, say, round 5, 6, 7, a lot of those guys, if they choose to go to camp, and as far as I know, Samson would report to a major junior camp. You lose your eligibility. You're there for a week or two. You get cut, and then you're called up. You're moving up. You're down, and then you're with your junior A affiliate in the Maritime League. It would make a lot of sense for Samson to be, picked in the Atlantic Canadian provinces. I could see somebody like Cape Breton taking a guy like that, knowing that he is, I guess you could say, a local. He's from, as far as he's from like Antigonish East, playing for Cape Breton West, he'd have to be from that area. And I think that with Cape Breton maybe having a little bit of trouble getting some guys from Quebec to report and to be consistently saying, yeah, I want to sign on the dotted line to go play in Sydney, Nova Scotia, which is off the beaten path. I mean, let's be real here. Your closest home game or your closest road game is Halifax, which is, 3.5 hours away.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the closest game that you're playing all season. So,
yeah.
I think they're going to go more local once they get into those rounds 6, 7, 8, 9. And Samson could be a name that gets tossed around there because he does have some attributes about his game that a team would like, for sure. Quinn Kennedy's a for sure pick. Certain. I love that kid's game. Played really well all year, but then he kind of cemented his status at the Q Cup. Everybody can play with that guy. I mean, I watched Connor Arsenal play in the first 2 games of the Q Cup, and he just looked like a good player, not a first-round pick. Then he plays with Quinn Kennedy, and he looks every bit the part of a round 1, 2 pick where he's probably going to end up. It's just Quinn Kennedy. You pick Quinn Kennedy. He makes the wingers around him. He makes all the players around him better, and he plays a complete game. He's scrappy. He's not afraid to get in your face for a smaller guy. He'll take a bump, and he's right back on his feet. Moving his feet, and he's a very, very good skater, crosses his feet over very well. Big fan of Quinn Kennedy. I see him going top 10, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and for sure.
Who else did you mention?
Reese Peisch.
I'm not going to forget that.
Yeah.
And to buy a vowel. Peisch is, very smart player, and has been since he played in Bantam. Actually, it's funny, the two of them played together for the Gulls in under 15 AAA.
Yes.
When I was coaching the Hitmen back in the day when dinosaurs roamed the earth in the Mesozoic period. But yeah, those two guys were a dynamic duo. And Peisch's skating, I think if he hinges at the hit more, and if he gets a skating coach this summer, if he hires a Jill Klandowski, or he hires somebody, a Taylor Burke or a Jordan Burke or somebody like that, just to be able to hinge his hips a little bit more so he's leaning a little bit more forward. He skates with a really straight back. And that's something I think he's minimizing how much extension he can get on his stride. And I think if he just makes a couple small adjustments, he is going to be a good player because he sees the ice well and just needs to continue to get a little faster to play Major A hockey.
For sure, yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about your role with the Next Level Athletics. So you're doing this now. Like, talk a little bit about that business. I've heard about it, but I don't know a whole lot about it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so it was last summer, actually. I was kind of wanting to get more involved in hockey and whatnot. I played hockey all as a kid, but I wouldn't say I was the greatest hockey player, but I've always had a passion for it. So I wanted to figure out how I could get more involved in the game. I seen that Next Level Athletics was looking for a volunteer scout for their scouting program, we'll say. So I just kind of emailed Jake, and it took off from there, and I fell in love with it, and then here I am. So it's Jake Bullen.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, I didn't know that was his pro. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so he owns Next Level Athletics, yeah.
Okay, cool. And talk a little bit about Next Level Athletics as a business. So is it a scouting online service where I just type in the name and information comes up about a player? Is it like Elite Prospects? Is it like an agency advisory? Like, talk a little bit about what Next Level Athletics is.
Sure. So it's not entirely a scouting service. He has a little scouting central to give, I guess, maritime players more of a not promotion, but like a platform to promote their game, I guess you could say. And then as far as Next Level Athletics goes as a company, it's like a player promotion business, I guess you could say.
So it's like an advisor.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got, a lot of athletes from obviously the Nova Scotia League, and you get signed on, and we promote you as a player, get you noticed. We've had one athlete, Nick Zaidos. So he just got signed by the Richmond Generals, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
UFC. Yep.
Yeah. So he's one of the players that comes to mind. But yeah, so that's basically what Next Level Athletics is. Yeah.
No, that's cool, and I think you're seeing more and more. I guess years ago, it was more about agencies where the agents would promote the players and the agents would find opportunities for players. But now it's more shifting towards advisories because it's college friendly, because there's a pay in that. It's actually a pay per use service. Part of the reason why they do this is because the NCAA does not allow professional agents. So like if you don't pay an agent, you have an agent, you don't pay them, it's a violation of NCAA rules. So that's why people charge now to be advisors, because it's NCAA compliant. And that's really the big, now there are a lot more advisories now, or companies that might have been agencies initially, maybe looking for the big fish client, that they might lose a client here or lose a client there to the bigger box agencies. Now we're saying, you know what, let's be more of a leaner advisory and help players that maybe they're not, the Quinn Kennedys. Maybe they're not the righteous, but they're good players. They need places to play too, whether it be Division III, the USPHL.
Yeah.
Leagues that are a little bit off the beaten path, but it still gives a player a chance to develop. And you're not finding that if mom and dad are looking online, and writing schools. It's just, or writing junior A teams, or writing, junior B teams, or what have you. So I think advisories are becoming more and more popular now than ever before, and I think that they're really important. So I definitely, that's great that Next Level Athletics and Jake and yourself are doing stuff like that. So
was looking for a job, seen that the South Shore was hiring as a video broadcaster. Had no prior experience. Told them I had no prior experience, but they brought me on anyways. And honestly, ever since they brought me on, it's been great and it's been going good. I've met a lot of great people, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah, it's been great.
And let's obviously this is a Newfoundland Vision Hockey is a Newfoundland business.
Yeah.
And South Shore has some Newfoundland content on their hockey club.
Yeah.
I coached Nathan Carter since he was about 4 years old.
Yeah.
And Corey Burt is like indirectly related to me. So if you got anything negative to say about both those guys, man, shelve it for now. But
all right.
Burt as well. Not really. He's just on my other. So my cousin's on my cousin's husband's side.
Yeah.
That's the Burt side. So actually, Kobe Burt has some pretty good genetics. His grandfather, Al Dwyer, was like a local senior hockey legend here. Like he's in the Newfoundland Sports Hall of Fame and is a stand-up human being. One of the nicest guys to sit down and talk hockey with for hours. He is like, he's in his 70s, 80s, but he is an absolute beauty. And he doesn't miss a senior hockey game when there's a game going down at the Joe Byrne Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Burt and Carter.
Yeah, so I'll start with Burt. When he came over, he honestly had some big shoes to fill. I won't lie, because I think he was part of the Reimer brother trade, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he moved. He went. Those guys went the other way to Fredericton.
Yeah, so those were big time fan favorites over here. So for sure had some big boots to fill, but he's done a great job, honestly, at it. Like he does basically everything right.
Good.
He brings that offense that the Jacks desperately needed. He's caught a little bit of swagger out there on the ice. You see him in warm-ups, he's feeling good and whatnot. He's an exciting player for sure. I really like him a lot, yeah.
I think it was a good pickup by the Lumberjacks. I mean, you look, and Kobe was up and down with the Sea Dogs a little bit. He has some major junior experience. Kind of get caught up in the numbers game there a little bit. He's had some unfortunate injuries, like at the most inopportune time, so to speak, when like in training camp, he was banged up. I think it was last year or the year before. So that kind of hinders your ability to make a club. especially as a later round pick. But going into, I think South Shore gave him a new opportunity to be able to play and be a top 6 guy potentially. And, he does have a pretty good release, so a pretty good shot. He can do a little bit of everything well. I think that's a good description of Bert. And I think Carter is going to have a good year too. Good genetics. You've got that Sullivan family. Carter's mother is she's like, okay, Dale Sullivan played in the NHL. Well, not, he was drafted by Dallas. You have Andy Sullivan, who's played senior hockey here locally, played with the AHL St. John's Maple Leafs way back when. But pretty good genetics there. When you got Dale and Andy were really, really good players, and Dale played for Gatineau and Major Junior. Well, back when it was Hull. I think he's got some genetical profile there that I would like to bet on. I put some chips on him for sure.
Yeah.
And he's a good kid too. So I think he might move up the lineup. I think he was more of a 4th line guy last year, 3rd, 4th. Maybe he's more 2nd, 3rd this year. And, in the draft coming up in the Maritime League, we've got July 15th. Oh, it's 14th or 15th? 14th?
I believe it's 15th.
15th. Okay. July 15th, live on Eastlink. So if you have Eastlink, check that out. Bridgewater, or I always call him Bridgewater, but South Shore trade first overall pick. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so it was interesting for sure. The South Shore as a whole, it didn't really get put out publicly a whole lot. It was kind of kept on the down low a little bit, I think. But most people know now. I honestly like the trade, to be honest with you.
Okay.
We moved down. I think it's around the 5th or 7th overall pick, somewhere in between there. You pick up an extra 2nd and then an 8th round pick. So I'm assuming the guy that they're looking at, they can obviously get further down. And honestly, I like the trade. I think, it benefits us. And the thing that's always interesting about the MHL draft is just because you draft a guy first overall, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get him right away. So I think, for an example, honestly, last year, Miramichi drafted Ryan Hayes, I believe, the defenseman from Cape Breton.
Red West, yeah, I like him as a hammer, like as a physical guy. Actually, I work for the Quebec League as CSR, and he was a guy that I was like, he could be a good mid-round pick that sneaks up and maybe makes a team because he was a kind of a throwback D, physical guy.
Yeah, very, yeah. So, he's a guy that probably next year, believe he was drafted by Bay Camo, but I could be wrong on that. But I think. What? Sorry.
Who was drafted by Bay Camo? Who?
I think was Ryan Hayes selected in the 6th round or something like that.
Bathurst.
Yes. So, I would expect him that he's probably going to try for a roster spot next year with them. He'll get a good shot at it. So, basically, my point is being just because you might have that first overall pick doesn't mean he's gonna come in right away and make an impact for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that is tricky about the Maritime League draft is, your first rounders, they might not report.
Exactly.
The 2nd round might not report. So, you can, and sometimes when you're a team that needs players and needs to continue to get better, you might have to overhaul a lot of guys. And when you have an extra 2nd round pick and you add in an extra 8th round pick, as you said, like you're giving yourself better chances to find better players to come in the organization and make yourself better. And especially when you have a situation like in South Shore, they're under new management. And you have last year, you had Andre Lefebvre came in probably about 40% the way through the season, I'm going to say, and maybe halfway through. And Andre brought in some guys and did some things. And then Andre goes out and takes a job in Bedford. So minor hockey with the Barons. So, that leaves a GM spot open for Sean McKenzie, who's coming in. Actually, Sean was the coach of the Mooseheads when I went to camp back in 2002. Got a ton of respect for Sean.
Yeah.
And, he's coming in and wants to put his stamp on this team. He wants players. He wants to bring in guys that, embody what he's looking for as a GM. So you might see some turnover in that roster next season. Just
for sure.
By virtue of a new management team. I think they had a new coaching staff too.
Yeah, so we're sticking. I think Brad's still going to be the head coach. I'm pretty sure.
Testing?
And yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
I know Brad.
Yeah, I do believe there is a new assistant coach. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but there is a new. It's the staff's almost kind of been like overhauled, I'll say. Yeah, so 2 rough years on the South Shore for sure. But before he took the job in Bedford, he brought in some good young prospects for the team. So that the team, honestly, it's in a good state for sure for the future.
Yeah, and I think picking up Sean and the ownership changes, I think solidifies that team there for quite some time. We hope. I know I work for Yarmouth, so we're under new ownership now as well. Bought out by Laurie Barron, who's been the coach there since way back in 2004 when they moved down to Yarmouth 20 years ago. I think that's a good decision for us. I think Laurie, he wants to keep the team there. We've had a really good franchise there for quite some time. It's been kind of a destination place to play, mainly because Corey is just so good at his job. And Corey, if you are watching right now, I'm giving you like a little bit of a proverbial stroke here. I'm just giving you some love, but he's done a great job with players there. All of our 20s, I think 2 years ago, all of our 20s committed. I think we had 8 20s and all 8 committed to either youth sport or D3 programs, which to me is the kind of I guess the marquee part of a program is how many players you advance to the next level. And Laurie does a real good job of, promoting his guys and like what Next Level Athletics does, giving guys a platform to help them to move on to the next level. And, and it's a good place. The town gets behind the team. It's a nice facility there. The rink is nice, a little bit off the beaten path down there in the western side of the peninsula, but, it's still a destination place to play in that league. They take care of their players real well. And I can't believe I'm saying that because I'm an Amherst Rambler guy through and through, 2 years with the Rams. My logo, the color, actually myself and Jeremy Kavanaugh, we designed this logo based on the fact that we both played at Amherst together. So the colors are purple and black. So but hey, we hated Yarmouth when I played in Amherst, but it's where life comes full circle. Say la vie. So that's just how that's going to go. Let's talk a little more about the Maritime League draft before we cut this.
Sure.
So who are you liking right now? If you can talk about who do you think are going to be good junior A prospects, and I'll throw out a few guys from Newfoundland that I really like at junior A level.
Sure. So obviously Riley Sampson. He's probably.
I love Samson. I love Samson. He is a Samson guy.
I do. I love Samson. I think Hudson Clark will probably exceed very well at the junior A level. I really like Hudson. And then there's a goaltender. Oh, goodness.
I can put the Jeopardy music on.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now. I can't think of his name. Sorry. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I'm blanking hard right now. Nathan Mills.
There we go. There it is.
Nathan Mills. I really,
buddy, from your backyard.
Yeah, Nathan Mills. Yeah, he was on a not very good South Shore team. They were just, they were younger and kind of behind the ball of everybody else. But I think he was probably one of the better goalies in the league, just given that I've seen a lot of South Shore this year. And he really kept his team in it a lot of the time, made big time saves. He's got great positioning. He's square to the shots. He's a really good goalie.
Yeah, I think that's a good point there in talking about that South Shore team. The last 2 years, 3 years ago when Luke Woodworth was there, that team was really good. And they were first place, actually. They had a good squad there. I believe his father, Sean, was working with the team at the time. Like, they had things were going, and I think Brogan Bailey might have been there too.
Brogan Bailey was the coach, yeah.
I had nothing but respect for Brogan. I did my HB1 coaching with Brogan. A few guys played with him in Woodstock and some of my friends. So I know a little bit about Brogan. He was a younger guy, so, younger youth infusion in on that coaching staff, and he did a good job with that team. And then Woodworth goes first round to Drummondville. And the team in the last 2 years has kind of been trying to find an identity. may lose some of the more talented guys to some other places, but I like some of the guys that are on that South Shore team. Obviously, Sam Hope, I think, is probably going to be he's going to be in the mid round somewhere again, probably somewhere around where Samson goes. I mean, who knows? Maybe flip flop depending on what you like. I think Hope's he shows some glimpses of power forward in his game. He's a little bit inconsistent to do it, but he still shows that power forwards from time to time. He's got a pretty good shot. And what's that?
The only thing I find about Hope is that offensively really good, but I find when it comes back to transition, he doesn't really give it 100%.
Yeah.
So I think he can work on that side of his game, then he'll be just fine for sure.
So I think he may be labeled right now as a top prospect on that team, but I think there's one guy that's a little bit better than him up front, and we're not going to even talk about him right. I want to keep him on the down low. We're going to talk about Newfoundland kids right now. How about that?
All right.
How about that? So I'm going to just throw out a few names of guys that I think are pretty solid, will be solid junior A players. I think Liam Noble's a guy you got to keep on somebody's radar. I mean, he's a guy that is big. He's strong. He's 6'1", 180. I think he really flew under the radar this year at the East Coast Blizzard. I think he is a good player, and he has a bright future at that junior A level. And there's a bunch of guys on that Blizzard team. And on the Growlers team, Cole Cooper is a good defenseman. I think he's going to get some interest from the Halifax Mooseheads this year, so I think maybe they take a chance on him. He's a big righty. He's 6'1", 6'2", about 180, 185 pounds. So another guy that, I think the Atlantics, he had a pretty good Atlantics, but there wasn't a ton of scouts there this year from the Quebec League, and not a whole lot from the Maritime League, just by virtue of being in Newfoundland. I mean, it's thousands and thousands of dollars to fly over and stay at a hotel and yada, yada. When you can watch the games on, you can just download them. Life has changed a lot, obviously, with technology. So, I don't think it was the fact that people didn't want to go or didn't want to watch. It was just the fact that they could do it virtually. And and there's a bunch of guys in Central. Central's got to be talked about. Leo Adams, I think, is going to be a guy, might be a late round pick of Moncton. Then you've got a few other guys on the West Coast. You got Dutcher and Canes out there. I think are going to be good junior A guys. So, and you can't forget Tripen. Tripen has some guys. Owen Sparks was a Pictou County draft pick last year, or he went to camp and didn't make it. But maybe he makes the next step this year with the Crushers. Who knows? But that's just a little quick roundup of Newfoundland. And I think Tripen this year is going to be interesting because they got a couple of guys. Dawson Mercer's nephew is playing there. And, not going to be drafted. He's not on the draft list right now, but I think he could be a guy. He's got the size. If he works on his skating, he could be a guy that ends up really excelling and being a late bloomer. Same thing with the kid Crane. Alex Crane is a pretty solid player who had a good playoffs. And Jared Ryder, I think if those guys all kind of grow, then that's a team that could be dangerous next year in the NL U18 league. So take a look at those guys. If you have any involvement with that South Shore draft, just go back and watch this video or tell somebody about it, because some of these guys just adjust the volumes. They're good players that can help a junior A organization.
For sure, yeah.
So what's on the go this weekend, man? We got Canada Day. You celebrating?
Yeah, actually I am. I had to think for a second what I was doing, but yeah, I am. Me and the girlfriend, we're gonna probably go over to some friend's house, have a barbecue, be a good time.
That sounds like fun, man. That's Canada Day. I might haul out my golf clubs. I mean, I was golfing down in Florida at the beginning of the month, and I'm kind of the itch now to keep playing. It's not an expensive habit, but I do love swinging the club every now and again, and a few of the boys were like, oh, we got to get out Canada Day weekend, and I'm off Canada Day weekend, which just doesn't happen very often.
Well, there you go.
Maybe I might go out and, try to spray the ball around the course and go find a few balls in the lake, because that's probably where I'm going to spend most of the day.
That's something I've never done. I've never golfed.
Anyway, Seth, it was a pleasure meeting you, man. I'm super happy to see that your Sea Dogs won a Memorial Cup championship. We've got some players there that I know you are high on Mr. Sampson. I hope Sampson's watching this video. I tell you what, you are the biggest Sampson fanboy that I have had so far.
Yeah, I am.
Big Sampson fanboy. And it's going to be interesting to see where a guy like Peisch goes in this draft, because he's a guy, he's kind of, as you would say, a mercurial prospect. He's a guy, some people might have him in the second or maybe earlier than that. and then other guys might have him a little bit later, depending on how teams value skating. But I still think if he's a PP guy and sees some opportunities in the power play, I think he's going to put up numbers.
For sure. Yep.
So anyway, pleasure chatting with you guys.
You
Be sure to check out this video and check out any of our other interviews. We've done with Braden Olofsson, so check out our channel, scroll down, fire through. And Next Level Athletics, send over some information so I can post that in the description of the video. So if anybody in Nova Scotia watching, anybody's in New Brunswick, PEI, if you guys want to expand the operation, then they might be able to click on that and learn a little bit more about that. So Jake is going to love me for that.
Yeah.
I've never really had an opportunity to chat with him, but I think we know each other through mutual, just being in the hockey world, you know? So,
yeah, no. He's a great guy.
Send over some information, and I'm sure we'll be chatting before the draft anyway.
Sure, man.
All right, bro. Have a great weekend. Happy Canada Day. And deep down, man, I'm American, so July 4th is like my day, but Canada Day is still great for the other 32 million Canadians.
All right. Well, thank you very much, man.
All right, bro. Catch you later.
See ya.